our parents have got our parents have got difficulties in paying our school fees. Take an example of me. I sat for like 3 years without schooling, but I stand and said I will not go for early pregnancy because I know what I want. It's true. So one of the church leaders came to me and said, I've seen your passion, I've seen your confidence, the way you used to I used to engage in church activities, expressing myself, doing what I can. So this leader told me that you next year you're going to start schooling. There and then I started schooling. I'm now in senior 3. It's not just because it, it's all so it all came up because I had passion. I had I had I had compassion. I was passionate. So, dear judges, I would like to talk about the stakeholders and some of the strategies. The stakeholders, I mean the community prayers. The stakeholders are meant to be the community players that can come up with the solution to solve these challenges that are facing to children and what is held in the community. Some of the stakeholders, the church leaders, teachers, parents, community leaders, and so many others. Teachers and caregivers promote children's social and emotional health, establishing trusting relationships created when teachers express warmth, affection, strategies to teach, model, and positive behaviors. Dear judges, in 1st April 2024, civic engagement is an essential component in building healthy and more resilient communities. Dear judges, in 26th September 2022, civic engagement has been shown to have a positive impact on the health of people communities, providing healthy care institutions. Dear judges, allow me to have the next speaker.
Resolved. My mom passed on when I was 6, leaving me and my brother plus my young sister at 3, then my elder brother at 9. My dad promised not to marry any other woman until I clocked near 6. This affected the family members and they started torturing the children of their brother, thinking we were a burden to my father, causing him not to marry any wife. But I joined a school, St. Gerard, where we join in clubs, we join in MDD activities, we join in many things that motivate us, that give us the confidence, that give us the morale to speak to you. This is where I found that I can also debate, which brings me back to civic engagement, that it was the one that made me who I am. Kanyeste Denise is my name. Kanyeste Denise is my name. Wars happen in Congo, bringing about refugees on Kampala streets. Refugees who are children, who now suffer and look at our faces. We who know the truth are the ones to motivate them, to civically engage into their activities. We are the ones to stand up for them. We are the ones to stand up and speak about them to bigger places, to bigger people who are responsible, because we know the truth about civic engagement as far as children are concerned. Child participation is not an event, but it is a process. Look at the Heart to Heart initiative that has gathered us here. This is a civic engagement too, because we are here to participate, to moralize ourselves. The executive director of Heart to Heart has contributed much. She is a pace setter of some civic engagement. Big up to her team, for they have made a very good work in us. Supporting children is giving care by families, neighbors, and people around you. You have meaningful contributions. Did you know that? You have meaningful contributions in the society. The society needs us, who knows the truth, about civic engagement. We know that we can set a pace for refugees on Kampala streets. We know that we can set a pace for children in Karamoja right now, because we know the truth about civic engagement. We know the impact of civic engagement to children. If we sit and others are on the streets of Kampala, will we make a good future of children in Uganda? Yet we know the truth. Think about it. Do you know that you can set a pace for the refugees? I rest my case as Kanye Jerusha from St. Jerry.
I begin my speech in counts of 3, 2, 1. Today's resolution states that the collective civic engagement of all community players is essential for improving the well-being and future of children in Uganda. Dear judges, we have the factors that hinders children's well-being. First of all, we have bullying in schools, sexual abuse, child labor, early marriages, and early pregnancies. But if we carry out civic engagement, the challenges above can be overcome. Take a good example of development of essential skills. Civic engagement helps children develop essential skills, that is to say communication, skills of leadership, and problem solving, which are valuable in various aspects of life, that is to say academics. We also have sense of belonging. Believe me, if we come together and we engage, there will be promotion of sense of belonging among children. Since civic engagement creates a pace for children to participate in community activities, that is to say, engaging in environmental cleanups, children feel more connected to their environment, hence developing a sense of belonging. Promotion of positive values. Believe me, civic engagement can help children develop sense of responsibility, empathy, and commitment to making their communities a better society. Civic engagement, as I've talked of development of essential skills. Take a good example of heart-to-heart initiative. We are here due to civic engagement. I personally have gained some skills of leadership, communication, and problem solving through my fellow students from other schools. We also have the strategies for the resolution. Curriculum integration. Believe me, if civic engagement is carried out and practiced in schools, together with promoting it in the new curriculum, it will help the children to know their rights and promote critical thinking in children. Here I beg to rest my case.
Protocol observed. Zato Pista is my name from St. Gerard Millennium High School, Kagoma. I'll speak about the benefits of civic engagement. Developing a social responsibility and community involvement, civic engagement helps children to understand their importance of contributing towards their actions and their attitudes. Engagement can lead to academic improvements as children actively involved in their community feel more motivated to learn and succeed in school. I raise my case.
A round of applause for St. Gerard. I think you've fully utilized all your 15 minutes. I'll take the opportunity to welcome school number 8. Once again, we want to apologize for the delay in having your meal. We know it goes against your right to have food at the right time and of course also in the right place. So we continue to apologize for that. I hope you truly understand where we are coming from. And please let us know in case I call upon you to come and present and you feel you're not in the right mental capacity to actually come and present. You can also let it known to us. So school number 8, you're welcome. Please introduce yourself and of course the name of the school so that the judges are able to capture it right.
The way we speak to our children becomes their inner voice. My name is Chotiba Hanila. Today's resolution states that the collective civic engagement of all community prayers is essential for improving the well-being and future of children in Uganda, which originates from the theme of the year 2025, which says, Uniting for Children's Well-being, the Corrective Impact of Civic Engagement in Uganda. I'll start by defining the keywords of the resolution because the definition of the keywords is the beginning of wisdom. According to Uganda's constitution, which was reversed in 2017, it defines a child as a person below the age of 18. And according to the Learner's Oxford Dictionary, the 8th edition, it defines uniting as to join people together. Corrective impact is to mitigate undesirable results triggered by a task. Civic is a study of rights and duties of citizens Engagement is participating in the civic life of community to make a positive difference. I'll mainly speak about Uganda because charity begins at home. In Uganda, children are a big priority. That's why Uganda went on to ratify the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children, meaning that Uganda was committing itself to helping children. In Uganda, the Ministry of Labor, Gender and Social Development is responsible for children's rights under Honorable Balam Balgahara, working hand in hand with other organizations like the Human Rights Council and Human Rights Watch. In Uganda, we also have bodies like Save the Child Uganda, which has been there from 1959, championing children's rights, and together with the aim of Uganda, which says that freeing all children from all forms of violence and neglect. We as a team, we came up with a work frame of 1 year. In the first year, we intend to sensitize people on how children's rights are violated and how they can be kept. According to www.humanium, mistreatment of children is a significant issue in Uganda. Sexual abuse was reported to be 37% of girls and 17% of boys experiencing sexual abuse by their adult friends and parents. The number of physical violence was reported to be 68% of girls and 20% of boys passing through physical violence and exploited. The number of children on Kampala streets struggling to live was recorded to be 1,500. According to New Vision Daily Express.com, a father in Mukono was arrested for impregnating 3 of his children, one aged 13, 17, and 22. Can you imagine? We as a group, we come up with benefits, solutions, so that we can help Uganda. There is a proverb that says that children are the anchors of the future. I'll invite my next speaker to continue from there. Thank you very much.
Children are not a distraction from one important work. Children are the most important work. Good day, esteemed judges, resolved. My name is Nampima Juliet, and I'm here to basically discuss about how different communities have stood and raised hands in promoting children's well-being. And allow me start with the government of Uganda. The government of Uganda has adopted a multi-sectoral strategy emphasizing family strengthening, community interventions, and legal frameworks. Through the establishment of the National Child Policy 2020, coordinated by the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, with an aim of formalizing alternative care for children without parents, and also empowerment of young people socially and economically. Through the legislative reforms and systems development, the 2016 Amendment Act of the Children closed loopholes against child trafficking and focusing on parenting and care for children, for vulnerable children. With extensive alternative and the UPE that was established in 2010, significantly extending education access to children without parents, children without money, and children who are unable to go to school, and girls, with an aim of decreasing illiterate rates in Uganda and also educating Ugandan children. And it is really true, it is absolutely true that children in Uganda, there's a big enrollment in these schools. For example, in the academic year of 2019 and 2020, it is recorded that 62% of the population of children in Uganda are enrolled in these schools, the government schools, which allow free education. 40% of secondary school children in Uganda have enrolled in the secondary school program that educates children in Uganda. The parents of Uganda have also engaged in this campaign through providing education support to their children, for instance, providing them with school fees, school requirements, and also facilitating home learning through providing phones and internet to facilitate learning at home. They have also promoted health through immunizing their children and also feeding them with a proper nutrition, which has helped the Ugandan children today to develop their mindset and also physically. The police of Uganda has also engaged in this campaign, whereby it was recorded that the Child and Family Protection Unit, CFPU, has trained multiple officers in Uganda and outside, and has trained multiple officers in Kampala and in different parts of Uganda, with an aim of preventing child abuse, fighting against child labor, and also providing peace for the children through enforcing different rules. And with those remarks, allow me welcome my next speaker.
To deny children rights is to challenge their very humanity. The judges, my name is Aineba Patience Resolved. The previous speaker has spoken about the different communities coming together to promote their children's rights. However, children's rights have also been violated in Uganda. According to the www.co.ug, a 35-year-old woman who had been on a run was caught on a viral video torturing a 4-year-old girl, and the victim is currently receiving treatment at Zambia Hospital. And this has led to the high risk of health problems to the children, and some have died. Also, sexual abuse has been one of the most common violences, with female gender the major factor. According to the Uganda survey, on the 10th August 2018, it prevails the high prevalence of sexual abuse, where Mary Chomugisha, a 40-year-old woman, says that her child at 11 years was raped, and she's one of the 25% of the girls who have been raped under the age of 13 years. And this has exposed these kind of victims to the sexual diseases such as HIV or AIDS and health complications like overbleeding. Like seriously, these violations have limited access to education, healthcare, and safe environment. So, if a child may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Thanks. I would like to welcome the next member.
Children are the most valuable resource of the world and the best hope for the future. Honorable judges, my name is Naruma Joyce Resolved. As my fellow colleague has been talking about how children's rights have been violated in Uganda today, I stand before you to outline a measure so as to mitigate the above challenges as my colleague has talked about. We and my group, we got a collective measure that will help to mitigate the above challenges. Schools should allow hardworking organizations. By implementing the solution outlined above, we can create a safer and more supportive environment for the children to grow and thrive. By working together, we can build a stronger community that prioritizes children's well-being and protection. Let's join hands to create a brighter future for children where they grow, learn, and flourish in a safe, nurturing environment. Children learn more from what we are than what we teach them. I rest my case.
Thank you very much. You still have, I think, like 2 minutes, or if you're done, it is resolved. I've learned a new word today. You guys keep saying resolved. I don't remember that during our debating days, so you will teach me later what resolved means. So do you have any contributions from, okay, I think you have like 2 minutes.
Children are the world's most important resources, and it's the best hope for the future. Honorable judges, my name is Mutala Pretty Precious from Budget Secondary School, and I would like to second with one of the speakers who have talked about how the government have promoted children's well-being in Uganda. The government have also promoted children's well-being through the Child Well-being Committees, which was established to coordinate efforts at various administrative levels, ensuring children's rights and welfare across the country. These child well-being committees has been strengthened in regions like the eastern and western Uganda in coordination with the ANN, PCAN Uganda chapter and the Infectious Disease Institute. The government have also used the child well-being committees to address children protection challenges. Partner organizations like the Infectious Disease Institute have provided crucial support in constituting the child well-being committees and developing bylaws to combat child labor. The government have also used a policy, which is the National Child Policy, adopted in 2020, which guides all child-related interventions in Uganda, focusing on children protection, health, education, and welfare. As I end, I would like to say, if there is anything that you wish to change in a child, you should first examine it and see whether it is not something that could be changed in yourself. Thank you.
Children are the promises of the present and the architects of the future. With their boundless potential, innocence, and fresh perspective, they hold the power to shape the world. Esteemed judges, honored audience, my name is Karakol Shanlisa, a student from Majet Secondary School. Allow me to supplement on the benefits of civic engagement. It applies to children's voice, guiding and policy formulation. It empowers children and communication. Civic engagement in Uganda empowers children and communities to take an active role on promoting their rights and well-being. A wise man said that prevention prevents poor performance. So in order to prevent poor performance, let us all support our theme of today that says that the collective civic engagement of all community players is essential.
Thank you very much, Majet. We will not waste a lot of time. I'll call upon school number 9, I think, which is Chinawa, please. And maybe it also let you know that our food is here. So let's keep those smiles on. Remember from the beginning I told you, let's keep that smile. Yeah, let's keep smiling and smiling. Yeah.
So before we start, a little bit of introduction. My name is Andama Abdurrahim, and I happen to be the first speaker on this team. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Chinawa administration for the chance granted to us that we can participate in such debates. I also want to thank Heart to Heart Initiative for the great opportunity granted to also participate and carry out such activities that help to foster mind building and other things. So are we okay with the timer? Should I start? Okay. I beg to begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, in Uganda today, where many children face poverty, lack of rights and freedom of speech, limited access to services, it is only through united effort from family to institutions that can bring about sustainable change. Ladies and gentlemen, our submission in today's discussion, our submission in today's debate is going to lie on 3 grounds. Number 1, we are going to be giving you and breaking down this resolution to our understanding, whereby we are going to be talking about what collective civic engagement means in this particular case. We're also going to talk about what we mean by the future of children in Uganda. And we are going to be giving you a clear characterization on how we think the future of our children is likely to be if at all we are to implement collective civic engagement. Leaving the community players not apart, we are going to be talking about their role in us improving the social well-being and the social well-being of children in Uganda. But taking you through our case, I want us to break down this resolution so that we come to an understanding that is going to favor the House at large. Number 1, when we talk about collective civic engagement, this refers to the active participation of individuals in their communities to address public issues and contribute to a common goal in the society. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand that the urgency of the needs that we how we collectively work so that we can solve the problems that we encounter in life. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand that collective civic engagement is very crucial in this particular case. But we may have and suggest a question that what do you think that is helping to solve the problems that we face? Number one, we need to understand that when all stakeholders work collectively, they can address the problems that we find in life more effectively, sustainably, and equitably. Therefore, we need to understand that without collective action, efforts become fragmented, leaving gaps where children fall through. Collective civic engagement has been in place, and in Uganda it has been practiced all along. We've seen civil society organizations, we've seen NGOs, Care, Heart-to-Heart Initiative, and others. Giving a preamble from what Africa does back then, Africa was a continent that was not known. But then, when these people come out with an idea of how they thought they are going to be able to improve the welfare of Africans, what do you think happened next? They were able to do an organization that is African Union, an organization of African unity. Guess what, haven't they been able to improve the lives of Africans at large? Ladies and gentlemen, I told you back that when I was starting my speech that I am going to give you a clear characterization of what collective civic engagement means in this particular case. But now we need to understand that collective civic engagement, people are trying collective engagement, what we call shared responsibility, have what we call diverse skills and knowledge, have a greater impact and reach. And guess what, problems have been solved quickly. Going to the other part of the resolution that talks about children, we need to understand who children are. We need to give a characterization on the future of children and how we think that children are going to be alike if at all we are to implement collective civic engagement. And according to the Ugandan Constitution, it defines a child as that person under the age of 18 years. Ladies and gentlemen, how do these children look alike? But when we look at the Ugandan Constitution, it divides what a child is in 3 phases. We have what you call the infants who are from 0 to 5 years, and these ones are very dependent. We have the primary school age, the 6 to 12. These are 6 to 12 years. They are energetic, they are curious, and also they are dependent to their parents. But we have what you call the teenagers, and this is the end of the childhood cycle, whereby these ones are between the 13 years of age to 17 years of age. These ones have physical developing rapidly skills. They face challenges like peer pressure and others. But then we as a team have identified something common in the characterization of these children in Uganda, and that is dependency, of which this dependency is coming from the stakeholders that we have in the resolution, and that is the community players. That is the dependence that we talk about in today's case. Ladies and gentlemen, we also need to understand that who are these children? We as a team, how do we imagine the children to be alike? Number one, we as a team have imagined a future whereby these children are free from health complications such as diseases, whereby they have safety and protection, they have access to quality education and inclusive schooling, emotional social development, voice and support. Differing from other teams that have presented here, we also look at a child who grows up with the support, safety, opportunities, and skills to thrive emotionally through this 21st century. But we need to understand that we have a demand from status quo, of which we need to improve and we need to solve the problem that has been identified. The problem that we are having, that we have a poor welfare of children in Uganda, of which we tend to solve it through collective civic engagement. But as I'm winding up with my case, we need to understand what the stakeholders are going to do in this particular case. We have the parents and guardians. The stakeholders are the community players who are going to be there to provide the discipline. We have the teachers and the schools who are going to educate. We have the religious leaders who are going to shape the children's values. We have the healthy workers that are going to help us improve their mental well-being. We have friends that are responsible and are going to be able to advise these children. We have the media and technology that is going to be there to help report the abuses and promote child-friendly content. Ladies and gentlemen, as I'm winding up, allow me hand over the microphone to the other speaker so that he takes us through what the advantages of collective civic engagement and why is it so crucial in solving problems associated with children. Thank you.
United we stand, divided we shall have a great fall. So in Uganda, most children have experienced some form of violence and abuse. More than 80 million children have Kokos zone was seen brutally assaulting a 4-year child in the bathroom of a home. So dear judges, greetings to you all. My name is Mlondo Hunaisha from Chinawa High School. So we as a team, we imagine a world where every child grows up with support, safety, opportunities they need to thrive emotionally, socially, and mentally. A world where every person plays their part in the well-being of the children. A world where everybody is concerned in the well-being of the children. So dear judge, why is it crucial? Why do we put our focus on civic engagement on the well-being of the children? This is because the needs of the children are multidimensional. They cannot be fulfilled by one group of people. But when we work together, when we hold hands and work together, we can solve the problems of the people. We can solve the problems of the children. We can help the children to have a better well-being. So, when we use civic engagement, we create a strong foundation for our country, because supporting children will create a great and a better Uganda. So, ladies and gentlemen, today I've come here to give you some of the advantages of civic engagement. Civic engagement creates protection and safety of children. How? It helps to challenge harmful culture, attitudes, and social norms that may contribute to violence against children. In many cases, traditional gender roles, poverty, and a lack of understanding about children's rights can perpetuate a culture of violence and abuse. But through civic engagement, we can promote gender equality, economic empowerment that will lead to the well-being and that will improve the well-being and the future of the children in our country, Uganda. So dear judges, when I talk about change, change does not come from the blue. True change begins when ordinary people like you and me take interest in what affects children and acts. So I call upon everybody get out of your comfort zone and speak, act, and engage in matters concerning children. With that, we shall have improved the well-being and the future of the children in Uganda. Thank you. With that, I would like to call upon the next speaker.
My name's Nasuna Rajiba from Chinawa High School, Kawempe campus. To the panel, imagine a future where parents have to teach, have to mentor, have to educate, and have to counsel their own children. Imagine a future where after the burden of bringing food and bread to the table, parents have to face this too. To the panel, we do come up and say that civic engagement is crucial for the well-being of the children of Uganda and their future. But dear panel, we are not neglecting that working together is also effective. But dear panel, we're coming up and saying that working alone, dear panel, is bringing up limited effectiveness, dear panel. We are saying that sole proprietorship is coming up and having limited support and collaboration. This is because that one parent cannot educate, cannot counsel a child, dear panel. We need a collectiveness. Dear panel, we're coming up and saying that there are lack of resources, dear panel. We're coming up and saying that time management, as a parent cannot work as a lawyer, come back at home, counsel the child, teach him mathematics, teach him sciences. No, dear panel, we are talking about a future where children are educated, children are living in a good world, children are healthy. Dear panel, we come up and say that yes, civic engagement has challenges itself, but they are very limited. We are coming up and saying that it has cultural and linguistic differences. Dear panel, this can be easily solved by us using local leaders, welcoming up local leaders to come in and us bring up inclusivity, dear panel. Dear panel, coming up and saying that there's weak institutions, but they can solve by us having funds, maybe international organizations, dear panel. We can say that children's well-being and their future need a multi-dimensional collectiveness, dear panel. Children have needs that are multi-dimensional. Dear panel, we're coming up and saying that children need counseling, they need to be taught. Dear panel, we're coming up and saying that this is all to be achieved with us coming together. We are taking up civic engagement for the children's well-being because there's shared responsibilities. There's a counselor, there is a teacher, there is a doctor, dear panel. They are all coming up to work with children. We're coming up and saying that we're taking up civic engagement because there is accountability and support. Sometimes children cannot go out and face their parents when they're having certain problems. A relationship cannot take you to your mother and tell him, you know what, a boy checked me. No, that is why we are coming up and saying that civic engagement is crucial. Dear panel, we're coming up and saying that it is crucial because there are diverse skills and knowledge. A doctor, a lawyer, a counselor, they are all needed in the child's well-being. And us having a sole proprietorship is not going to do that. That's why we're coming up and saying that civic engagement is very crucial for the child's well-being. I'd like to welcome our last speaker. Thank you.
My name is Shaima Bint Hassan, Chinawa High School, Kampe campus. Imagine when I throw this pen down and try to pick it with one finger. Obviously, you won't do it. I cannot do it picking it with one finger. But when I pick it with 5 fingers, I'll manage to get it from the ground. So that's what we mean by civic collective engagement. Dear panel, we believe that when people come together in a society, that when people collect themselves from wherever they are, we can promote children's well-being. Dear panel, when we talk about children, we do not talk about statistics, but we talk about we talk about hope in human form. Imagine a child who is in Karamoja going to sleep hungry. Imagine a girl in Kampala streets who is afraid to walk to school alone. And imagine an orphan in Gulu who has no one to hug him or her. So dear panel, we believe that when all societies come together, we can create a well-being of children. Dear panel, when we try to compare working alone and we compare it with working as a community, at a larger extent, working as a community can ensure children's well-being. Dear panel, these people are going to come out with many resources in we promoting the children's well-being. Dear panel, we believe that the community as a whole, a teacher and a doctor can work together for a child's well-being. A policeman and a counselor can help in the children's well-being. So we think that we do not even think, but it's a must for us to come together as a community and promote children's well-being. So we believe that as a whole, children will manage to have a future, a well-being. Dear panel, allow me to give you the statistics. Dear panel, we believe that only 40% of the children complete primary school and 16% complete the upper secondary. And 31% of the households use safe water for drinking, and the 26% is in urbanized communities. But dear panel, teenage pregnancy spikes during school dropouts, increased risk of dropouts. The UNICEF notes that 23 deaths of children daily due to less of services delivered, such as food, shelter, and water sources children from Uganda. Dear panel, this illustrates that many Ugandan children lack stable schooling, adequate nutrition, and safe sanitation, inclusive participation, and a sense of belonging. And we believe that we can solve all of this by we coming together as a community for children's well-being. With that, dear panel, allow me to stop that.
All right, a round of applause. Chanel.
Yes.
Okay, I've been informed that your entire 15 minutes of talk time are done. Yeah, so a round of applause for Chinawa. All right, thank you. I want to call upon school number 10 to make their way to the podium. And as you come, I wanted to give it to you. Please make your way. I'm just, taking up time as you guys walk to the podium. Why it is very important for us to talk about the future of children in Uganda. Let me give it to you. The current statistics, 2024 census that was done, showed that 50% of the about 45.9 million of the people who are in Uganda, 22.2 million are children, meaning they are you who are seated here, from ages 0 to 17. So I guess you know why it's very important for us to discuss about the future of the children. And I want to give it up for Chinawa, who actually painted for us about a picture, a slight picture of what the future would want to see. So please, you can start. The name of the school.
The adjudicators, present, the whole congregation, good afternoon. My name is Mugabe Jeremiah, and I'm from Deje Senior Secondary School, and I'll be the first speaker for today's debate. My second speaker will be Mutebi Collins Tyler, right over here. My third speaker will be Ronia Samuels Kirabo. She's right there. And my last speaker is Wadida Rodney. My speech begins in 3, 2, 1. Every child loves to sit under the twilight sky and dream, imagine of a future, a bright one. When I grow up, I want to be a lawyer. And this can only be achieved if this motion is in place. This motion is the collective civic engagement of all community players is essential for improving the well-being and future of children in Uganda. I will be taking you through the characterization and other things to do with this motion. First of all, the definitions. We define collective civic engagement as everybody playing their part in society to ensure the well-being and future of children. We define community players as families, schools, NGOs, and health care centers. We also look at governments as the community players, and these are also the stakeholders. Essential is meaning pivotal and very important. So I'm going to take you through our strategy of winning this debate. First of all, I'll lay down our burdens. Our burdens are, first of all, to prove to you the necessity of this civic engagement and to give you valid examples of civic engagement, and also how our solutions will help and how our civic engagement will help everyone. Our value is justice. That's what we are going to center on. And the problems identified in this resolution are health, child abuse, domestic violence, poverty, and education inequality. So our strategy, or our first resolution, or our first argument will be strategic responses to strategic problems, which Collins will emphasize. Then Ronia will come in and tell you about long-term outcomes that will benefit society. Then Wadida will come in and sum up the debate with our last argument, that it fosters moral development of children and intelligence. So this will illustratively all look like one of our problems is domestic violence, and we'll come in and tell you that if the government works with the families through the police to and through other people through the district to tell us about domestic violence and tell us about its dangers, and maybe arrest the people who violate children's rights or this domestic violence. And then we'll come in and also tell you in our second argument that this will foster or will make children have a deep appreciation for togetherness of the community, which will in turn or in long term foster development of morals, because they will learn that loving is the way and working together. It fosters teamwork, empathy, and all integrity and all these values that we are about. So to allow children live or dream under the twilight sky, I believe this motion should stand, and I will give it to my second speaker.
It's a very good day, our dear adjudicators. Thank you for this very good opportunity. The House at large, we acknowledge and we thank you for all coming today. And today's motion states that the collective engagement of all communities is essential, emphasis on the word essential, for improving the well-being and the future of children in Uganda. So the first speaker came here and broke down the motion for us, but my emphasis is on essential. Essential is something that is pivotal, or something that is a necessity, something that is necessary, something to do without, yeah? So we want to see how the collective civic engagement of all community players is necessary, is to do without, for the improving of well-being of the future of children in Uganda. So my main point to explain today is a point of strategic responses to strategic problems. So what are strategic problems? So we're looking at the things that are affecting the well-being and the future of children in Uganda. So this motion is very interesting one because it's about things that are happening in our society today. Yeah. So we have very many problems in society, domestic violence, child abuse, and all that. But one problem leads to another. Yeah. If one problem is not taken care of, it will grow into another. So let's give an example of domestic violence. Yeah. What causes domestic violence? Very many things. There are very many factors, and we look at very many things. Yeah. We have poverty, for example. We have alcoholic parents. So it's an example. So what causes all these things? The problems children are facing today. What causes all these things? Yeah. We acknowledge that we have stakeholders and want them to help promote these solutions. But we also have to acknowledge the fact that they are the ones who cause these what? Same problems. So it is up to them. So it's essential for them to take part in what? Solving the same problems. So one, we have seen very many cases where NGOs have received donations from different countries, fundraising, but then the money is embezzled, right? Who is going to suffer in return? The children. Is an NGO a stakeholder? Yes. So we have to acknowledge that at some point, the stakeholders are involved in how the children are suffering, and we also have to show, and we have to show you people how we are going to respond to this what? Problem. That's why we call it strategic responses. So, according to the Wikipedia report of 21st November 2024, there was a mine, a stone quarry, right, where children were being labored. But we have different stakeholders in this community where the mine was, right? But if these stakeholders are not involved, somehow they are also affected. So the chairman was called upon and he was being interviewed, and he was told why didn't he stop the children from working there and all that, and he was giving his what? His own view. But he did not know that one of his children was also involved. When the quarry crashed, it also crashed his child. So it was very sad, because if he had thought about the children as a whole and he had fought for the fact that we do not want children to be labored in the quarry, we wouldn't have that scenario at all. Yeah. Now the reason why the quarry fell is because, one, they are using children to labor. They do not know how the system works. They are not meant to be working there. So it's so sad how he did not look at the community or safeguarding the children in the community, and therefore even his own child was what? Was affected. So now we are here to show you very many examples, but let me also talk about food security. We have very many cases of food security. I've seen NGOs that give out food. They donate food. World Food Program donates food. There's a certain type of food they give out. It's called manapak. It's a type of rice, right? So this rice was meant to go to northern Uganda. That was it. It was meant to go to northern Uganda. But in my primary school, there's a time we used to eat that food. It's in the central region. How did the food get there? I don't know. So now we are here to show you how all work together, because if we are in the community, if the whole community is involved, because the problems still come from the community, we have to work together and show how these problems are going to be solved. Children, let me call them copycats. Yeah. My little brother, when he sees me doing something, he copies the same thing. When he goes to school and sees something, he copies the same thing. So imagine a situation where the community is working together to ensure that these children are having a very secure future. These kids are grown knowing one thing: peace, unity, love. Because that's all they know. Because that's what they've learned from the places they stay. We all know charity begins at home. So if we know that the community, our homes where we stay, it's all about unity, working together, peace, it's we are going to grow up in. therefore securing the future of children in Uganda.
Yes, esteemed Executive Director of Heart to Heart Initiative, our beloved judges, all schools present, a good evening to you all. As introduced, my name is Ronia Samuel Strabo, and I'm the second speaker. My speech starts in 3, 2, 1. Thank you. So, as my second speakers have explained, I have come here to talk about the long-term outcomes of the collective civic engagement of all these community players to improve the well-being and future of the children. One of the outcomes is financial intelligence. What do I mean by financial intelligence? This is when I have knowledge concerning money, I can be able to use it and from it. I personally am an entrepreneurship student, forgive me, and I have a poultry keeping unit at home. I sell 4 trays a day, that's 40,000 shillings. So I earn 280,000 shillings a week. That has helped me that I bought myself this watch. It helps me keep time at school. I sometimes help out my parents at home. So all this is because the community players have played their roles. The second outcome is tax awareness. This has created tax awareness among the children. Tax is what is paid to the government. In Uganda, that is 30%. So if I earn 3 million shillings, my tax will be 900,000 shillings. But if I grew up in school not knowing that I'm supposed to pay tax, I'll be a tax defaulter. And if I am a tax defaulter, I am lowering the tax base of the country. Low tax base leads to low development of the country. And that's why we have so many potholes in the roads, poor medicines in hospitals. But if I'm aware that I'm supposed to pay tax, I will pay it every single time, consistently, improving the effectiveness of the development of the country. And that's why there are improved health care facilities and schools. A third outcome is law-abiding citizens. In all this, when the community players come together, groom these children so that they be well, they'll be law-abiding citizens. They'll obey the law and there'll be low crime rate within the country, meaning there'll be peace and the activities of the country will take place smoothly. And our last long-term outcome is supporting and encouraging systems. For example, the Heart to Heart initiative has brought us here today so that we can learn more of the moral ethics. And then the other community player here is our schools. I personally believe my school is going to have ambassadors and we shall invite the Heart to Heart initiative within our school. So all this has created counseling sessions that promote the mental health of children, preventing depression, building citizens who are well, who are healthy. Thank you so much.
And thank you very much. I think you have like more 2 minutes to go. So if you want to supplement, please use them wisely.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, today I want to share with you a short story. This motion is quite personal to me. Thing is, I lost my mom at around 10 years of age, and yeah, it was a very breaking experience. Yeah, so my dad brings someone else home to fill up the space of my mom, and I was okay with it for a while until they had their kids, and yeah, she favored them more than me, and it was quite disturbing. I mean, she used to buy for them things and just leave me there in my own father's house. Can you imagine? Dear ladies and gentlemen, I used to feel bad when I see these people out there enjoying life. Well, for me, I'm here. So one time, she comes back home, she brings for them things as always, and I talked back at her. Now, we all know African mothers, okay? Once you talk back at them, you're dead. So, yeah, she wanted to hit me, so I ran to my uncle's place. My uncle, we live in the same place, but quite distant, okay? So I went to my uncle's place, and I wouldn't call it seeking asylum, but that's what it was at that point, right? So when I reached there, they called my dad, because my dad wasn't around. They called him and they spoke to him and they told him that, yeah, your boy is here. Some issues at home, so he had to travel back. He works up country, right? So he's barely there. It's just me and my 2 siblings plus my stepmom. Anyway, so yeah, so that's what happened. And these community players, in specific, this family of my uncle, took care of me. And dear ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't be the man I am right now without my uncle. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Would have loved to listen to your story. Again, statistics show, out of the 22 million, about 13% of children in this country are actually orphans. So it's very important that we get to talk about the things that they go through that, limit them from fully enjoying their rights as children. We're going to have the last school, also to let you know that we're having, I will call it a silent lunch going on. So if they call upon you, please feel free to go at the back and have lunch. So let's have the very final school, I think that is Chisasi, if I'm not mistaken, to come and make your presentation. Please, let's keep time, 15 minutes. We all know we have already lost some time. It's already 4:25. We should be getting done according to the school curriculum. Aren't you supposed to end classes at 5? So we are very cognizant of that time, and we want to have this last session as fast as we could. The last school, can you please be fast? You're hungry. Yeah, so this is the last school. Our dear judges, they'll make their presentation as we continue having the silent lunch session. We shall call it a brunch, really, because it's past lunchtime.
Just like me, my beautiful name is Mirembe Afra, and before you are my fellow debaters, Nisima Melissa, Shawal Peter, and Agaba Adolf. Honorable judges, fellow debaters, good evening. Let us not begin with slogans, but scrutiny. We reject this motion. Collective civic engagement of all community players is essential for improving the well-being and future of children in Uganda, and we challenge it on one fundamental ground. Dear panelists, good intentions are not enough. Only effective, coordinated, accountable systems can truly protect our children. The affirmatives want to inspire you with community heroes, and yes, we do admire, but come up with one deep question. Can you build national well-being on scattered goodwill? Can you entrust your child's future system on voluntary, unstructured, and unequal civic engagement? Our value today is pragmatic justice. Rooted with Frederick Hayek's warning against the dangers of emotional collectivism and Thomas Hobbes' belief in the necessity of centralized authority to ensure peace, order, and consistency. In real Uganda, civic engagement is not a beautiful choir of unity, but rather a battleground of conflicting interests. And those are nepotism, gender inequality, and political manipulation. Do we forget how community school boards have been hijacked by local elites? Do we forget how community school boards have been hijacked by local elites? I repeat my question. Let me remind you, in Lira, a community-led health initiative was collapsed. Then, because the lead volunteer was accused of misusing funds. In Kabale, a parents group sabotaged a girl child program because of cultural bias. And so, I ask, dear panel, fellow debaters, what happens when civic engagement becomes civic entrapment? What happens? We, the negative, do not oppose community involvement, but we refuse to sanctify it as essential. Quote me clearly, as essential. Let us use what works, not what sounds good. Let us not keep quiet for what, because somebody has said something that is sounding good, so we are all going to follow. No, that's not how it works. Instead, we propose, let the government build reliable institutions, let experts design child welfare programs, and let technology and private innovation scale sustainable solutions. Because in the end, the well-being of Uganda's children must not depend on whether the community feels like engaging next month, whether the child is going to go to school next month, but instead, it should rest on justice, strategy, and accountable governance, but not collective hope. Our moral question is, who leads and who takes part? Let us not exclude the government in this system. As you said, unity is power. So, why doesn't the government connect with the non-government organization, for example, the Heart to Heart Foundation, together with the civilians, to uplift the young generation? Just look at it. With that, I would like to invite the second speaker to add more on my view.
Thank you. Respected judges and fellow friends, good intentions do not always lead to good outcomes. While the idea of collective civic engagement sounds noble, we must not conflate moral aspirations with practical effectiveness. Today I rise to oppose the motion. But not because civic engagement is unimportant, no. We just say it is not essential. To declare it essential is to overlook the risks of miscoordination, the variability of moral standards, the need for institutional accountability. We must approach child welfare with realism, not romanticism. Shawal Male is my name. The affirmative team would have you believe that community engagement is some kind of golden solution, noble, powerful, and essential. No. We're not saying collective civic engagement is bad or unimportant, but we are opposing it being essential. In the real Uganda, where I live, where we all live, idealism doesn't raise children. Structures do. Systems do. Accountability does. Let me show you what really happens when we make collective civic engagement the primary engine of the students' well-being and the children's well-being. In Dibundibujo, in 2007, a well-meaning community task force was set up to track school attendance. And what happened? You know, we are human. Power struggles came in. Allegations of tribal favoritism surfaced. Children from minority clans were ignored, and dropout rates increased by 58%. In Wujiri, a donor-funded civic initiative to fight teenage pregnancy failed because religious leaders refused to allow sex education in community meetings. And what is that? Let us be honest. Communities can help, but they can also harm. Civic engagement without structure is not justice, it is roulette. And now we turn to the alternatives that actually work. Alternatives that have systems. Government-led cash transfer programs like SAGE, school feeding programs fostered by the Ministry of Education. They have helped to feed a number of children. Private education innovations. You've been advocating for non-government organizations, but non-government organizations like Raising Voices, like Heart to Heart initiatives, they have improved child safety through structured interventions. I repeat, through structured interventions, not open-ended civic participation. They have the leader. The leader, it's a structure. They have the leader. They know who takes part. They have everything that drives. Philosophically, the affirmative used, it takes a village. Yes, beautiful. I love it. But not a substitute for real infrastructure. The answer is not everyone helping a little. The answer is building institutions that work a lot. So I ask you today, Do you want to build a future of children based on fragile goodwill or farm systems? Do you want progress based on passion or on planning? We, the negative, say engagement is helpful. I repeat, engagement is helpful, but not sure. It is not essential. The future of Uganda's children demands the future is more than community effort. It demands national direction. Judges, let us not be seduced by poetry of collectivism. The well-being of Uganda's children requires clear systems, professional leadership, and enforceable protections, not vague call for everyone to help. It's a structure. Allow me to end my speech with, I know most of you are hungry, like me. We're hungry. But raise up your hand. This hand, your right hand. You cannot clap, as everyone has been telling us, and I've been laughing. When you raise up the second hand, now raise up one hand. This is what I'm talking about, a structure. The brain is going to tell this hand. So this one leads. It's going to tell this one hand to do something you've done with two hands. Snap. Just beautiful, just beautiful. With direction, we can get something small but beautiful with a great impact. Thank you. Allow me to welcome the third.
We stand here today to tell you that moral intentions must never blind us to structure reality. Agaba Adolf is my epithet. Our fellow students, honorable judges, thank you for this wonderful opportunity and a good afternoon. We have listened closely to the affirmative team. We admire the passion, but passion alone cannot build policy. They told us that civic engagement is essential. But the question is, essential to whom? For what? And at exactly what cost? They say, communities can help deliver services. We say, only if they are trained, resourced, and accountable. They should be answerable to each and everything that will have to occur. But will they be able to answer? No. We gave you examples from Bundibujo, Bujiri, and Soroti, where civic groups harmed rather than helped. The affirmative have actually not responded to these failures. They have only romanticized the idea, idealized the idea, and glamorized the idea that collective engagement of all community players is essential, which is a no. Let me offer a counter frame. Justice is not about how many people help. It is about it is about how effectively people are being helped. Efficiency, consistency, and universality matters. You cannot scale child well-being on the uneven shoulders of civic emotions. You need a system, you need a structure, you need a strategy. And finally, let's speak plainly. The affirmative wants to unite the village, the communities I've been talking about. These are the leaders, and they are the same leaders. I'll take an example in Kapchora, in Kwen and Buko, where we had female genital mutilation. A full community was in agreement with that case of female genital mutilation. A full community involving the intellectuals, the educated, but still no one came out until the system came out and legally abolished the female genital mutilation through the Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilation Act 2010. But in many Ugandan villages, that unity is fiction. The unity that we are talking about is indeed fiction. And we have all experienced that through the clan tensions, religious divides, and gendered exclusion. I've given you an example of female genital mutilation. Let's assume in Karamoja, who will protect a young girl who's going to be married off at an age of 12, yet the whole community is in support of the marriage? Who exactly? We say community is hopeful, but without checks, it's really dangerous. So with the negative say, civic engagement, while variable, is not reliable enough to be essential. That systems, not sentiments, are what actually scale child well-being. Quote us clearly. Quote us clearly. We do not oppose community action, and we do acknowledge the fact that we have NGOs that have taken part, that have involved in helping the children, and we do appreciate that. So we do not oppose community action, we oppose worshipping it as a moral absolute. If we truly care about our children, we must build beyond good hearts, we must build good systems, better systems that will be able to provide for the children that we have and the next presidents of tomorrow. I rest my case.
So good afternoon to you all. The time is really small, but I know it sounds absurd that our school is like opposing all of you. But first, we come from a school that our co-director, Dr. Namal, actually has like an NGO like this one, Stepping Stone. But we are not saying that these NGOs are ineffective, but we're trying to say that they are a bit messy. You know, actually, correction, not NGOs, but the people. When we put the power in the people, it's like we are saying that we are putting our future in those people. Because sometimes I imagine I'm a girl, I do PCM, so I imagine if I was like, if my future was put in the hands of an elderly man, he would rather have a boy, these two boys, to be in my place rather than me. So that's why we are saying that, yes, the village can raise a child, but what if it's divided? What if it's tired? Then who's going to help? That's why we are saying build systems that don't debate on mood, don't depend on popularity, but depend on correctness. So I rest my case. So I hope our helpers can.
So thank you for the opportunity. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, the Muslims. And I wish all to everyone who is inside. I'm Sharit Nambajwa by name, and I'm here today. I'm just supplementing something later here. People are always against the government just because they always follow what it does because of its representatives, right? So it has we have a budget of education for only 8.4% of the total budget of Uganda. They support less, they give less effort onto our education. That's why most of you don't like the government, right? It is all done. Don't just to be like, no one is perfect in this life, right? No one is perfect. So if we work hand in hand with our government, we shall have the best in this world. I blame the government less. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chisasi. I think your time is really fast spent. All right. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a silent lunch session that is going on. Now I think we are going to invite our officials here at the front desk to also have their lunch session, and then after we shall come back with a panel discussion, and then later, of course, the moment of the day, as the judges, tell us how each of us has fared in today's discussion. Once again, we want to apologize. We have not really been good timekeepers, but like Mbide said earlier, sometimes you have to act